Blue Apron, Take Back Dinner. Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Liars Club. I'm Felicia Michaels.
And I'm Jessica Wellington.
And what we do here at the Liars Club is we have two of our comedy pals come on. We ask them to tell two stories. One is the truth, one is a lie. We ask questions. Our audience who plays along asks questions, and we try to figure out which one of these stories that they're going to tell is a lie.
That's right, Felicia. Now, you said we have the third camera. Is that one up there?
Yes, my love.
Okay, thank you.
Nice.
But when I was telling you
first
before,
time doing this?
I know.
I mean, I feel like I saw half the amount of episodes, but you guys were like, "So this is the mic, or is that the mic?"
I know, and
Do
I
I
told
look
her
at the mic or
beforehand,
talk to the camera?
and was shunned when I told her
No,
beforehand.
I just want to make sure I see the light.
Yeah, there you
Okay.
go.
All right, we have some lovely guests this evening. I can't wait. This gentleman over here, he is an actor, writer, stand-up comedian, and award-winning producer.
Oh,
he worked as a
yeah,
stand-in
I
for.
don't know. Tell
And
us.
good eye contact with that camera,
Sorry.
Jessica.
I have to read too. He worked as a stand-in for Matthew McConaughey.
All right.
Oh,
No way.
Yeah.
Did they make you do the voice?
They didn't make me do it, but from time to time I would do it just to make the crew laugh. But
Yeah, I was
you
gonna
know.
say if you did it when
but
Matt
he
was
wasn't
like,
really around when I was doing it.
Yeah.
He was getting
Bummer.
changed. And then I
What if he was like, "Dude, thanks for filling in for me," and you were like, "You got it, me," and he was like,
IMD says he is a pleasure to work with, and there's no stopping him. This is Brian Swinehart.
Hey, thanks for having me. Yeah.
Yay. How did IMDb say that you're a pleasure to work
Somebody
with?
else wrote that
Okay,
in.
I was going to be like, wow.
some director
that is
I worked for.
personal
Yeah.
service with the IMDb
Yeah.
I thought
Pro.
it- yeah.
"How much a month is
That
it to
was
get
pretty
him the
personal.
compliment?"
More than we all have.
Yeah.
And I'm so excited to have this guy because you don't know how hard it is to get him in here because he's a busy dude.
sorry.
Yeah.
Right? You may have seen him on Mad TV. The HBO series is Ballers, Curb Your Enthusiasm, Silicon Valley. He's been on Arrested Development, Netflix, American Vandal, Workaholics, Two Broke Girls. Movies have included The Heat, Spy, Ghostbusters, and many more. This is Mr. Adam Ray.
Yeah. But guess what? IMDb's like, he's not that great. So take the good with the bad.
Well, there you go. And sitting to my right is Michael Evans, one of our on-air producers. Austin Walker is on vacation and will be back shortly. And then we have sitting in for Michael in the booth is Brett Erickson. Give him a shout out. He's an awesomely funny guy that's going to sit and actually watch the whole show and change cameras. Anyway, so we should just start the game, or is there anything you need to bring up other than I hope everyone had a great Thanksgiving?
Yeah, that's great. I think somebody's fucking with me.
Yeah?
Yeah, I'm missing 2 coats, a bag of
No
Vape
one gives
stuff.
a fuck, Jessica.
that I just bought, and I went to leave today, and I can't get the combo to my gate to work.
Did they change it? It's
Well,
probably
it's
the person
my
that stole your
combo.
coats.
Yeah.
They don't want you getting back into your own closet.
Well,
Wait, it's your.
it's the gate to my where my car is.
Oh.
So I have
Yeah.
like a gate that closes, and I
Yeah.
have a combo lock on there, and I can't get it to open. I got it to open last night when I came home.
Well, there you go. See, people love you that they sit there politely and let you rant about your fucking.
Quite honestly, I'm more
lock.
concerned about your coats.
Yeah, that's weird.
We're entering a chilly part of the season.
Yeah.
Well, I have other coats, but these are some of my favorite coats.
That's what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
Yeah.
Where'd you get them from?
Torrid.
What's
Okay.
that?
It's a big girl store.
Oh man, what were they fleece? Were they puffy?
Oh, one
Were
was
they-
like a military type jacket.
Oh, that they took that
Yeah,
jacket.
that's my
Oh,
favorite
oh.
jacket.
Who do you think took it? You have suspects in mind? Of
Some
course
homeless
you do.
person.
I'll write them down if you got names.
That lives in the building?
No, they live in the alley.
Fuck. Do you know their name? Do you know the sound he responds to?
Fucking Tommy Two Jackets now.
Tommy
Yeah.
Two Jackets.
Yeah.
There's one that he's pretty bad. We've had to give him locked up a few times.
Oof.
He has a cart. He's just not mentally stable.
Yeah.
And
He
he's
probably
really-
means well. He's just like, he's like, look, I was jacking off for you, like
Right.
not to get off. I saw you were down in the dumps. I know you lost 2 coats. I thought you could use a coat
There you
pick
go.
me up.
There you go.
Like no.
He throws he's thrown baby powder over the fence at me.
Well, who hasn't done
I
that?
don't-
Has he really?
yeah.
Oh,
He
wow.
That's
was-
aggressive.
Squatting in the place next door, so we had to eventually get him out.
Wow, throwing baby powder over a fence, that's like long term. You're going to get uterine cancer. Long term, though. In 30 years. Fuck you, lady. Anyway,
By
we're
the way,
going to.
wait,
Yes?
real quick. He can afford baby powder?
I know.
Where did he find it?
Big bottle
That's
of
what I'm
Oh,
baby.
saying.
really?
Costco size.
Yeah.
Where'd he get it
Wow.
from, you think?
I don't know. They give that away at like.
Or who, like, you know, sometimes if you've offered up, like, whatever you have on you. Like one time I was coming from a place and I had food and I was like, "Do you just want this?" And he was like, "No, I'm good." And I was like, but he had asked like, "What do you got?" And he was like, "I want money." And I was like, "Oh, well, food. You could probably use some of that money for the food." And then he was like, "I don't want the money for the food." I was like, "Touche." But like, maybe somebody was like, "All I got is baby powder," and he was like, "I'll take it."
Beggars can't be
I'm
choosers.
gonna throw
right?
this at that fucking bitch Jessica. Who,
Right. Well, it's not called Rite Aid for
It's
nothing.
not. Yeah.
Well,
You should
anyway.
use that on stage.
Yeah, or we could just say it again on the podcast. It'll be even more enchanting the second time around. So let's start with our game. We've all there. You feel better now, Jessica, that you got a moment of love there from Adam. You feel better about everything that's going
Yeah. Oh, I
on. Things
love
are
her.
going
She
to
knows
turn
I love
out
her.
good.
Yeah, I love
Everything's going to
Adam
be
very
okay.
much.
I want those coats to pop up. If
Yeah,
not,
I
we'll
bet
find
they
We'll find a
will.
way. We'll get a Kickstarter
Yeah,
going. and get you.
maybe
Yeah, we can get those coats back.
maybe they're in where you were answering phones. Maybe they're over there somewhere. You never know.
Maybe.
All right, so we're just going to move this quiet riot right along.
probably not, though.
Please,
Shit.
why don't Brian, you start with your story first?
All right. So my story. So my dad was pretty old when I was born. 58 when I was born. 60.
really?
Yeah, 60 when my sister was born. So he was an old dad, and he had diabetes, emphysema, and heart problems. I come home from school.
Did he have any prior kids before you?
Yes, he had 3
So
other
you were the
kids.
second family.
Yes, second family. So he had 5
How old
kids.
was your mother?
My mom was 32 or something like that when I was born. So
Wow,
he
you
was
know.
26 years older than my mom.
My grandfather was
Yeah.
82 when my mother was born.
Ugh.
80,
Whoa.
He was like on his third wife. Outlived them all. Yeah.
Wow.
Isn't
Yeah.
that crazy?
That's
Yeah.
impressive.
him.
82?
82.
Wow.
And my grandmother told me that when she married him, she just thought that he would never want sex because he was so old, and
That was
he
the
wa-
opposite of what
he
he-
wanted it all
Yeah.
the time.
Did he really
Wow.
at 82?
82. Yeah.
Did he have a favorite position, or did you get that far in the conversation?
I think
I'm just curious what I
missionary.
have to look forward to.
I think
'Cause I
just
know what I like
missionary.
now, but I want to. Yeah, just missionary.
Yeah,
That's probably
yeah.
all you can.
Yeah, probably,
energy-wise.
and her on top,
Yeah.
I would guess.
That'd
Yeah.
probably be the
Well, everybody
ideal.
loves that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, continue. So your mother was on top of your old dad
Yeah.
with emphysema.
Yes, and I come home from school. I'm in 9th grade, and I come home from school, 15 years old. My mom's crying in the kitchen. She's, it's like, Mom, what's wrong?
Your dad hit her. That's what happened in my family.
A little different. He didn't have the strength for that. He didn't have the strength for that. I'm sure he would have. So she said, "It's your dad." I go, what happened? She said, points, it's his heart. I go in, and he's sitting in the family room, and I go see him, and he just kind of sitting there, kind of depressed, like. And I said, Dad, what happened? He goes, I went to the doctor. I had a little problem with my heart today. They're giving me some food to eat. I need to change my diet. And he said, I want to talk to you about what's going to happen though when I die. With the money I've saved. I said, Dad, I don't want to talk about this. That's ridiculous. You're not going to die. I'm not going to talk to you about this.
And how much?
And
Yeah.
so I'm like, okay. So then I see my sister, and
This is all in Ohio.
this is in Ohio, and I see my sister, and she said, Dad wants to talk to us about what happens if he dies. I said, I don't want to. She says, you should, because we need to. We're his kids, and we need to know. So
And she's your younger sister.
she's my younger
by 2
sister
years.
by 2 years,
Uh-huh.
but seems older.
Uh-huh.
If that makes sense. She's
Yeah.
smart, and and
Yeah,
she's a girl.
Girls are always like
Yeah.
that.
yeah. So yeah, exactly. So my dad says we're at dinner, and he says, "Okay, I'm gonna split the money up, blah blah, with you kids. But what I really want to do, I've never had a birthday. I grew up during the Depression. I want to have a big funeral." He goes, "I want you guys to go all out on this funeral, just a big damn funeral, like a party."
What's your dad's first name?
Howard.
You're like, all right, Howie.
Yeah. And my mom jumps in, and she says, that's ridiculous. Why would you do that? You're going to be dead. Why would you have such an elaborate funeral? He said, I never had anything big. I want the whole town to be there.
Wow.
You know,
How big is the town?
2,000 people.
Damn.
Yeah. So you could have the whole town there.
I haven't even been to a bar mitzvah that big, and I've been to a lot of bar mitzvahs.
Yeah. So 2,000 people. He wants to be, he wants
Talk
to be
of the town.
the talk of the town.
Go out on a high note.
Go out on a high note. And my mom's thinking this is the most ridiculous thing. Well, a couple days later, my dad comes and to my baseball practice, scoops me up, and we go to the funeral home. Now, my dad, small town, everybody knows each other. He goes in there. He's friends with the guy. He starts showing him around. I'm walking with my dad. It's weird.
Dude, yeah, he's like picking out where he's gonna be.
Yeah, picking out where he's gonna be. Well, he's gonna be in the veterans side, veterans thing, and then he's looking. They're going over caskets and prices and this.
God.
And then my dad says to him, he goes, the thing that bothers me is I won't be able to see it. And the guy says, we could do a mock one. And I'm thinking now I'm like, what the heck? A mock funeral. He goes, why don't you get like 20 of your good friends and we'll just put one on for you. Like it's the real thing.
Oh my God.
Yes.
Wait a minute. Can anybody do that?
I don't know, dude. I hadn't heard of it, right? But
great. Tomorrow we're going to hear Adam Ray dies.
Yeah.
And then I'm just like peeking around the corner. Being like, does Jess remember my credits?
I think it's kind of a genius idea, though.
It's good,
yeah,
right?
I love that idea.
And you have to. The thing is too about my dad was very well known in our town. So something, and he's
what
kind
do you
of
do to get well known in a
town
town
of
with
2,000.
2,000
Everybody's
people?
well known. Yeah, exactly. So
if it does the mock thing, is he laying in the casket watching everybody?
yes. So here's the thing. He had it just like regular. Paul Bears, his best friend Andy, me, my half brother Dale, Bob Mustner, our neighbor, and my uncle. Okay, so just regular people carrying it. Okay, and this guy.
Were they carrying it with the thing open?
Open.
Yeah.
And my uncle said, "I'm gonna close this on you, Howard." He said, "Go to hell." But so, anyways, yeah. So we do. So we do it. My dad pays the guy a little money to set this up. We go. It's about 25 people. Everybody knows my dad close, and my brothers, my sisters, family, neighbors, and some of his business partners, and we're there. We do it. I have to give a speech, and I remember I say that only thing worse than doing this today would be doing the real thing. And then at the end, my dad he lifted up. He said, "I'm gonna keep living for another 80 years," which he didn't. But
damn.
Yeah.
That's
Look, you are a twisted fuck with that bullshit story.
I mean,
Is that bullshit?
it makes a
I
lot
think
of sense.
it's bullshit.
Why?
What kind of fucking smile is that afterwards? Oh, I'm gonna live for 80 more years, son. And then he didn't.
well, how's he gonna live for another 80 years? He's already
Right.
almost 80.
Right.
Yeah, maybe he's just quoting some wacky shit. Maybe that's really what the guy said.
Yeah,
you
how
know?
do they carry the casket with the thing open and not slam shut on your dad?
Because they flip like. They go like this. It's just like if you
Do
like
they
a box,
Yeah, but so does the top flip all the way to the side? Like, how did they get it? So they
I
can't carry
think it's
it.
like a car hood. You poke it up, it's got that little stick.
that would be good.
The new ones just hold open by themselves. Yeah.
Well, let's take a look online and see what people are saying
Oh, man.
online, and welcome everybody that's playing along. What are your thoughts on this, Adam? What kind of story do you think this is? You think it's true or a lie?
It sounds pretty real. I
Really?
mean, yeah. I mean, I don't know. It's in matters of life and death, I feel like it's that's also something I've never heard of, so it gives me more reason to believe that it's a real thing.
Well, that is something definitely I feel like a Southern person would say, though. Like, well, it's just damn shame. I ain't going to say it.
Oh, totally. Yeah. It sounds like some small town shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you're from Ohio, right?
Mhm.
How come you sound like you have a Southern accent?
I don't know. It's just from where. I mean, my town's little. I talk just like my neighbor Bob, who.
Uh-huh.
Did you talk like this before you met McConaughey?
It might have gotten worse. It might have gotten worse.
For sure it did.
Wow.
Wait, what's Bob like?
He's real country. He's like you know what? He's like Clint Eastwood, but with a farmer's drawl. Does that make sense? He's like a
Yeah.
Clint Eastwood type of guy.
Bridges of Madison County kind of guy.
Yeah, just real.
Not as intense?
Yeah, he's just a homespun Korean War veteran. Takes care of everything.
Who met his
But-
Italian wife and brought him to a farm in the middle of nowhere.
Well, I think they.
That's the
That's the story
theme
there.
for
Okay.
Bridges of Madison County.
Oh, is it? I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
Jesus, thanks for ruining it.
Yeah, I don't think we would have
Jesus,
seen
only
it.
came out
Doesn't
20
ruin
years
that
ago.
part
Give
of
me a
the
chance to
story.
watch it.
Oh, We should kind of move along because you
Okay.
got to be out of here by 5, right?
Yeah.
All right. Any thoughts online?
Most of the concern online is for the jackets and what's going on at the homeless shelter with
Okay.
those.
Wow, that's a mark of a good story, by the way. People are like, yeah, we get it, Brian. Your dad's going to die.
Yeah.
So, wait, so what's going on with those jackets?
I think that people don't have enough to
sucks.
go off of it. Here's what I want to know about the funeral. They said there's like 25 people there.
Yeah.
Right? Did anybody think it was strange? Like everybody that was
Everybody
there
thought it was
just-
strange.
Okay.
But everybody liked it as well.
Everybody's like, good. This is cool.
This is weird. What's wrong with your dad? But it's fun. It's cool.
All
It's
right,
it like.
all
They're like, if
All
Howie
right.
wants it,
Yeah.
fuck.
Brett, aren't you from somewhere in the Midwest?
Yeah, but I'm not from somewhere where we would have a fucking funeral.
True that. All right, Adam, let's go to your story.
All right. Okay, so I opened for Brad Williams, who I do my podcast with about last night. We met, I'd say, I don't know, 2012. And, I was about 5 years into stand-up, and so I was starting to get a little bit of road work, and we became buds. And before we started the podcast, he was like, oh, you should come on the road with me. So one of my first road gigs was with him. I went to Kansas City, the Kansas City Improv. And, it was when you do the road with somebody that you both kind of like to drink, and you both like to go out and do stuff and find fun. It's like even more fun because I've been on the road with people before I start headlining where they're just like, they do the show and they go back to the hotel, and it's just kind of, that's one way to do it, but that's boring to me. Even if you're in like in Omaha, it's like, let's go find some fun. Let's follow people that we meet after the show to a random house party, which is what we did in Kansas City. And again, Brad and I both just at that time had this very like, yeah, let's yes and any experience that comes our way. And all the people in Kansas City are pretty cool. We were drinking with some of them in the bar after, and there was this group of about 7, 8 couples, and the wives, 2 of them were being really flirty, and we're both single at the time and telling us that like they wanted to hook up, and we're like, your husbands are right there. They're like, they don't care. I was like, I mean, I feel like we should ask them before you just tell us that. And
This is for both you and Brad.
yes, it was
Okay.
in the Kansas City Improv bar, and one of the dudes came over and was pretty drunk, and he's like, I don't give a fuck, you fucking. He's like, you famous comics, man. I'm like, dude, we're definitely not famous.
Oh, shit.
I was like, we're definitely not famous, but if that's what you need to think to have it happen, I was like, and he's like, well, let's all just go, and then one of them was like, you definitely can't fuck her. He's like, the midget can, because that's fucking funny. And Brad was like, yeah, I'll do it for the joke, whatever, and so then we ended up going back with them to one of the houses, a huge, house was about 20, 30 minutes away, real nice.
Did you ride with him?
No. The one of the host who worked at the club drove us and didn't come in, by the way, which should have been a
Indication
Yeah.
that something's bad.
oh
here.
yeah, because he was like really chill with us the whole weekend, and then drove us there, and then was like, all right, you guys you get a cab back or call me if you want to get back. How long you plan on staying? And we're like, you're not coming in? He's like, fuck no, these people seem crazy. And we were like, all right, I guess you just haven't and he only been doing stand up about a year, so I think he just wasn't as willing to jump in. Anyway, so we get in this house, we're hanging out, drinking, smoking, playing beer pong and whatnot in their garage, and then
Is that code beer pong?
for beer pong.
Okay. All right.
For what else? What else
It
is beer
actually
pong called?
started in that movie Kansas of Madison County.
Kansas
City
and
of-
Madison County. Oh my God, worst movie ever.
All time. Don't give it away, Jessica.
So we're now it's like probably 2, 3 in the morning, and Brad he's 2 beer Brad, so a couple beers, that guy's fucked up. He gets
I know he's a little person, but he's not Asian either. Like he could still.
No, it doesn't matter.
Jessica?
I love your rationale. No.
I know I'm about to stereotype one group, but I can stereotype 2 in this sentence if you want me to.
Even though he's about to have a dwarf Asian baby.
What the fuck, Jessica?
that's
He
wild.
is about to have an Asian
A
baby.
dwarf Asian baby. So
How
funny,
cute is that going to be?
The other day he goes, if my kid doesn't get into every college at once,
Oh,
based on
man.
diversity alone, checks all the boxes.
Yeah.
Should be on the brochure for sure. But so he,
I just
passes
feel
out.
like he should be able to knock a few more back than that.
Why?
More than 2
drinks.
beers?
Yeah.
But just size. I don't know. I'm not the dwarf doctor.
Okay.
You look at me like I have all the answers. He's under the table. Why don't you ask him? So we get fucked up, and Brad passes out, and they're like, oh, you can just sleep in one of the guest rooms. So he passes out. I think one of the girls even went in there, and it just I'm sure he at the time too. I felt like he was like, I'm gonna get some rest and go to bed or whatever. So I'm out there like playing, drinking, get him to go to the bathroom, come back. Now, this is where the story gets like, you're probably going to be like, oh, this is where it doesn't like add up. But I don't know if anyone at the table has ever been roofied.
Not that I'm aware of.
Well,
Okay, well, I was at this party, and being roofied to me felt like.
But Brad wasn't roofied?
No, he
Okay,
passed out.
Okay.
He didn't have to be.
Yeah, a beer and a half, and he was done. So I'm hanging out and just, I left for a little bit, and it was one of those things too where you open up a couple different drinks and whatever, and I was like, oh, is this mine? This whatever. And I started getting like real lightheaded, real kind of foggy, and then I was like, I'm gonna lay down too, and then passed out, and then woke up, and it was like, I don't know, maybe an hour later, and one of the girls actually told me, she was real fucked up, and she was like, Rod thought it would be really funny because you guys are like comics. People after shows are like, they meet comics and they want to do fucked up shit or tell you a fucked up joke. Like just in Omaha this last week, and this guy wanted to pitch me all these jokes, and he was like, "All right, so there's a priest, there's a Jew, and a rabbi." I'm sorry. I'm like, "Yeah, man, same thing, but definitely say it the way you just said it instead." And first of all, he's like, you want to hear a good Jew joke? Is how he prefaced it. He's like, "I'm Catholic, by the way." I was like, "Yeah, I can tell the way you said Jew joke." And then he goes, "So there's a priest and a rabbi, and they see this kid, and this kid's really hot." And I was like, "All right, like let me decide what the kid looks like, you know?" And then he's like, "The kid's hot," and the priest is like, "I'm gonna fuck that kid," and the rabbi's like, "Out of what?" Yeah. And I go, wow. I think that's the one to go out on, man. He's like, all right, happy holidays. I'm like, no, you don't get to say that after that. So anyway, so people like that, where they pitch you
So
jokes.
he was like, oh, I know what we should do for the weekend. We're going to lure these comics
Yes,
back
and
to our
fuck
house
with them.
with the promise of sex, and then we're going to roofie them. It's going to be hilarious.
Whether he had the plan of roofie or maybe he got there and had it or whatever and was like, how funny. I mean, how many things have people done where they're like, how funny would it be if, So she tells me that, and I was like, by the way, I'm like in a very half roofied state when I hear that. So I start panicking because I'm like, I don't know what that means, and I'm already kind of like, too high, and I was just like, is my blood pressure gonna go crazy? Like I was just starting to freak out. So I started looking for Brad. Guess where they put Brad?
In the little girl's room?
No,
Somebody
in the
cute.
closet. No! Passed out. Locked him in there. Oh, yeah. So three of the
They
guys.
locked him in there?
Yep, and thought it was hilarious. He was passed out. They're like, and I wake up, I was worried, Brad. I was like, we got to go, because I immediately woke up, and I was like, oh, if I got roofied, I'm like, oh, we're going to die? I don't know. It didn't seem that traumatic, but I definitely was like, there was an immediacy to leaving. They're like, he's in the closet, man. We put him, he's got a pillow, blanket, he's fine, he's sleeping. I'm like, why'd you guys lock him in there? And they're like, dude, fucking comedians can't take a joke. Just really being adamant about the fact that we couldn't roll with the punches. And so one of the girls that was up that told me, she's like, you guys just let him out. Like, it's so fucked up that you would even do it. It's funny, yes. A dwarf in a closet, make a wish, whatever. But, like, take him out.
That's not even a thing. Like,
yeah.
I don't even get this.
So then I started to try to open the door to get him out. And they had whatever the key, and one of the guys like grabbed me and was like, dude, don't fucking like fuck it up. Like, and then I was got to this point where it was like, am I going to try to fight this guy roofied right now, like half there, or just kind of like call the cops or what? And then I started like kicking the door, and the guy pushed me back. And I started calling Brad, wouldn't wake up, and then I just like sat down on the couch, and one of the guys got real like in my face and was like, "Bro, you gotta chill the fuck out. This is not your house. You can't be like kicking shit and all that stuff." And I'm like, "Dude, you can't lock midgets in closets.
This is not your midget. This is
fucking not even the 4th of July. Like, pick a festive holiday where there's like, it kind of makes sense, And so I lay back down on the couch and started talking to the girl, and she was like trying to calm me down or whatever. And I almost called the cops, and then the guy was like, took my phone out, and I was like, I'm gonna fucking do it. And then the guy was like, all right. Opened the door, pulled Brad out. He's like, wouldn't wake up, was so drunk. So then I was like, oh fuck, I'm like, did you roofie him? Like, why wouldn't he wake up? He was just so fucked up. And this has happened to him before, where he's done pot brownies, where he passed out in Vegas, and they had to take him to the hospital because
God.
his tiny little body, all that shit in his system.
Yeah.
And so I was like, how much? And then one of them was like, dude, he was fucking pounding drinks back there. You said he was like gonna go nap. Like, he was back there with fucking Chrissy, and they were getting fucked up. And I was like, you let him get that fucked up? I told you he's 2-beer Brad, blah, blah, So pull him out, trying to wake him up. They pour a bucket of water on his head. He wakes up.
Dick move.
I'm like, dick move, but also like, I was like, dude, however you can get him up. Wakes up. I was like, Brad, we got to get the fuck out of here. We call the host, comes back, picks us up. It was all like fine. We're leaving, and And the host, this kid, God bless him, I think he still works there now as like a manager or whatever. And we were like, dude, what the fuck? You're not gonna believe what just happened. And he was like, did they fuck with you? And we're like, yeah. And he was like, yeah. He's like, those people come to the club all the time. He knew them and just willingly let us fucking go to their place. And I was like, you knew that this was, he's like, I didn't know they were going to fucking roof you and lock Brad in the closet. I don't think they've ever seen a midget before. And I was just like, dude, why would you drop us off willingly at this house? And he was like, I don't know. You guys said you wanted to do something fun and blah, blah, blah. And like,
these guys always come back with great stories. I thought you would.
Thanks for the heads up.
I mean,
Wow.
first road gig, by the way, and that was, I mean, it was one of those things too where I came back and we started the podcast shortly after that because of that, because it was just like we kept telling people, you're never gonna believe what happened, like we almost died, and so the podcast about
Hence
last
the
night was
name
supposed to
About
be,
Last
yeah,
Night.
it was supposed to be originally about that type of stuff, but you know, we learned our lesson. I've only one other time gone with people after a show to like a house party, but they were people I knew.
I feel like I've heard like pieces of this, bits of it, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But there's some things that don't add up for me, like the bucket of water. If you're
Yeah,
at a
or
house,
the, you know.
Oh, you don't have a bucket in your garage?
The way you talked
no, I would have
about
got a glass.
roofies, though, like, they
A glass
just,
of water? Oh, because he's a midget and a bucket's too much water? A glass of water is the appropriate amount of H2O for his tiny ass head? He's actually got a big head, Jess, so a bucket is quite appropriate. What, are you going to fill up 9 glasses of water to throw on his tiny legs? You racist.
Also, like the whole roofie thing, the way you went about explaining that, like, you know, they just thought, it'd be funny to roof, like it was an afterthought. If you fucking have roofies, you're gonna fucking roofie. You know what I mean? Like, right? Am I wrong about that?
I don't know what
If
that
you have
means.
roofies, you're gonna roof.
Explain
Yeah,
that.
yeah,
You're gonna
like-
floor you if you roof
The
it,
way you were
know?
talking
what?
about it, it's like, it just came to them like, haha, we'll roofie these people, but they are already in possession of roofies, so they're prone to that kind of behavior. I just thought that was
Sure,
Yeah.
I also
Weed
didn't
take.
know them at all.
Yeah,
Also didn't know they
yeah.
had roofies. Had
Uh-huh.
any of that...
yeah.
You know,
How
again,
much-
like the whole point being we loosely met these people. They seemed fun. You've never done that, I guess. Met people after shows and
Yeah,
be like,
oh,
oh, yeah,
yeah,
I'll
yeah,
go.
yeah, yeah.
So imagine that. Imagine people that you meet mildly. You have about
Uh-huh.
20, 30 minutes of small talk with, and you're like,
Right.
oh, they seem fun. And this bar sucks. We want to go somewhere. They're like, we have booze and weed at our
Uh-huh.
place. You go, you know?
Okay. All right. Well, any comments from people online about that story?
Yeah, I've been curious about this comment ever since it came in. Shanza says, for some reason, I feel like Brad Williams is packing a serious hog. And I feel like Adam might know. So, what about Brad's hog? Good hog for a little guy?
I've only seen the backside.
That means it's good. If there's a whole backside, I think.
The
No, of his,
backside.
like his ass. Like his.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. What do you mean, the backside of his
What?
cock?
Yeah, if you were
I
like,
was
that's
like,
just
what?
the backside of his hog, it's like, wow,
Yikes,
there's a
dude.
whole broad
You're
side to
to
see.
spend a day in your brain, dude.
Blame it on
The
Shanza,
backside,
but
you
you're right.
thought I meant his dick.
No, I thought
Wouldn't
the
that be
same-
magnificent if that were
I
the
say-
case?
I don't know if that's the
like
word
it was
I'd use.
dangling from the back.
Right. I'm like,
Yeah, I was like,
must be a
fuck.
Oh,
serious
you thought like I
hog.
saw him from the back and I
Yeah.
saw
Like
like.
it dangled
That's-
that far.
yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, who knows? I bet he's doing good.
Yeah, a lot of like, you
Not
know,
something I spend time losing sleep over. But he made a baby. He's got a wife. I think it's okay.
yeah.
You need a dick for both those
I don't
things.
even know how to respond to that information.
Anyway, that's what the world wanted to know.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure he'll tell them at
I
some
want to
point.
know about how much time lapsed from you thinking you got roofied, and that's a lot of the questions
Yeah,
about getting
yeah.
Cosby, this reverse Cosby thing they're
Because
doing
you
to
said
you.
Yeah.
1 hour and then you changed it to next day.
No, I didn't.
Like, how long do you think? How much time do you think you lost?
I'm still on the roofie, by the way.
You're still on the roofie, yeah.
No, I mean it was. You know, this was what 2012. So I mean, it's like that's 45 minutes to an hour in that time range. You know
And
what I'm
when
saying?
the girl was saying, "Oh, you've been roofied,"
Yeah.
where was everybody else at?
garage. It was a huge ass house. Like I
Uh-huh.
said, big Kansas City mansion. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
There was a kitchen. There was like a living room, garage, upstairs.
Uh-huh.
By the way, there was what 6 of them, 2 of us. So I mean, 8 people in a big ass house. So it's like
How long do roofies normally last?
great question.
Because did he just get half a roofie?
Yeah, I wonder. It seems like maybe he didn't give very much of one, or maybe that's not what it was. But did they kind of confirm to you that was?
Oh
what it
yeah,
was?
the girl did. She started laughing. It was like they roofied you. They thought it was funny.
Like,
You know
yeah,
what I'm
we
saying?
have those. Like, what's the end game with anybody
Who
that
knows?
has those?
By the way, if you wake up and you get roofied, your first question is, I gotta get the fuck out of here.
For
Not,
sure.
how many
Yeah.
of those do you have? Do you guys have other pills? Like I'm not. Like, you guys are asking all the questions that nobody would ask in the moment.
You're right.
You're asking for the sake of trying to legitimize the story, which I get.
Yeah.
But you're like, did you asking
Yeah,
if he
you're
has
right.
a history of
My
pill
bad.
problems in his family? What the fuck are you talking about?
You were just like, "Where's my midget? I gotta get out
yes,
of
dude.
here."
Well, yeah.
Okay, all right.
I mean, you guys were like, was it a full? Was it a half? Because I haven't been in this situation ever and have no idea really how to, navigate through it. But just for, in case it happens again.
All right.
Because you don't seem like a guy that would roofie, James. You've got a very unroofied face, but
Oh my God, that's hilarious. But I find it also hard to believe that the young comic doing it within a year would just not come in, because that's a whole part of doing comedy, is being part of the party. I think when you first start out.
again, a valid
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
like,
that is
how
a
many
good-
people do you know that are just not social? You know what I'm saying? And that
That's
are like
true,
early
too.
on there's a lot of comics that don't hang out at all. You know what I'm saying? Like, so this kid new into stand up. The amount of hosts that I've met at comedy clubs that are like, some will come with because they're like, oh, young comedy, and the headliner and the feature want me to kick it with them. And then the others are like, oh, I don't want to get fucked. One kid told me this in Sacramento. He was like, I don't want to get fucked up because I don't want to embarrass myself in front of you guys, and this is work. You know what I'm saying? I was like, oh, I respect that. And then some that are just like, no, I'm cool. I'm going to go home because they feel like they can't hang, which is weird and sucks. But that kid definitely had a little bit of that going on,
Fair enough.
All right.
Yeah.
If
By the
you're-
way,
if
not
you're-
believe the story. I mean,
no,
it's
it's
like,
all
I
right.
don't
But
give a
I was
shit.
saying, man, if you are lying, you're fucking good though. Like, you know what I mean? Like the
Did you
counterattack.
read all the movies that he's been in?
Yeah.
Yeah,
He
expect
knows how to
nothing
lie.
less.
Yeah.
Expect
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
She means act. She means act.
I really got blown up in the heat. I just fucking I just survived the attack. I really motorboated
All
Sandra
right.
Bullock.
We're gonna move this right around. Let's go to your second story.
Second story. Okay, so I'm in 7th grade, and
I'm in tickety tick 7th grade.
Oh, boy, what time is it, dude?
Please bring up the energy. So
Yeah. I had just learned how to play the oboe. My reed was too wet.
but my girlfriend wasn't. Okay.
Whoa.
Oh.
Thank you for
Okay.
listening to NPR.
Go ahead.
7th grade. I'm going to get in a fight after school. Everybody's there to fight. Okay,
At 3:00.
3 o'clock.
Why are you gonna fight?
I can't even remember the reason why I'm going to fight. I'm going to fight this kid, Sean McNeil. We were just messing with each other and after school.
Okay.
And we had, so the fight takes place in the alley behind the church. That's where the fights always took place. We're fighting. We're fighting, and we've been fighting for a couple minutes, and somebody yells, "Cops!" Everybody runs off. Okay, and
The one sheriff in town.
yeah, and as he's yelling, "Cops!" Sean's brother Jason's there. He says, "Sean, you're fighting him tomorrow." So Sean turns to me, "Tomorrow, we're fighting again." So okay, so it's a little town. Word goes around fast that there's a fight. Next day, we're gonna fight. We go to church, same thing. We're fighting. About a few minutes into the fight, 5 minutes or so, who comes to watch the fight? My dad. 72.
How old were you? Oh,
I was 7th grade, so that made me about 11. So my dad was
Okay.
like 70, 71.
5 minutes of straight fighting, because that's a long
It
time
was
for fighting.
for me. It
Long
felt like
fight,
5
man.
minutes of straight fighting.
Okay.
Okay, I don't know exactly, but it was a long fight, and it was a long fight. And so my dad comes to watch the fight, and Sean's brothers are talking shit to my dad, and everybody's going crazy, and we're fighting. Cops come. This time again, everybody runs except my dad and I. Okay, because my dad can't run. He's my dad, right? The cops come up to him. "Mr. Swinehart, what are you doing here?" He said, "You guys missed one hell of a fight." And that's the story.
Wow. Didn't hear any of that.
You were texting.
Yeah,
that was it.
Yeah.
That was it.
Here's literally
That's
what I
the
heard.
story?
I had to look down and text. I'm sorry, but I literally heard. So in 7th grade, and that's the end of the fight. That's what I just heard. But I gotta be honest. Don't feel like I missed much.
Well, it's interesting
Give me a
that
recap.
you are doing. His
stories
dad was
about my
at the
dad.
fight. Yeah,
Don't
2
worry.
stories about
What's
your
that?
dad is
We
very
do a
interesting.
recap at the
Yeah,
end.
great.
yeah. It'll go fast for Brian's second one. No, I think that's a mark of a good liar is you keep with the plan. Do it like you already told a story about your dad, and you kept with the plan, and the dates kind of worked out. I think, but I don't know. What do you think there, Jessica?
It just sounds like the end of a sitcom.
Yeah.
You cops just missed a hell of a fight.
One hell of a
I don't know why I got in. You
Yeah.
don't remember why you got in that fight.
Great delivery on that, by the way.
Yeah.
And I think you looked in the camera.
Yeah.
Which is,
Something
by the
happened
way,
at
the only
lunchtime.
time in acting you don't want to look at the
Yeah.
camera.
Yeah.
The one time you finally did it, it was like you delivered the line right to camera. You're like, cut, Jessica. Great delivery, but babe, fucking this ain't. We're not breaking the fourth wall.
Adam, I just got a role on Good Girls.
What's
So,
that? Congrats. What is that?
It's where the ladies in the Midwest go to robbing grocery stores.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty popular
What's
show.
your part?
Season 3. I'm the sister of one of the regulars, and I'm a tattoo artist.
Oh,
dope.
fuck yeah. You would crush a part like that.
Yeah.
They got to make that a regular. Do
I
your
hope
thing.
so.
Yeah.
That would be amazing.
Fuck yeah, I would. So, Brian, in the 7th
I
grade.
know. I know.
I'm trying to imagine.
All right, we're
this
going to move
story
this
as a
along because I
lie.
know you got to go, Adam. Adam, what's your
Yeah.
second story?
All right, so I played Wolverine at Universal Studios Hollywood.
Wow,
4
way
years.
better already.
Let me finish. In the 7th grade. No,
Wait till Brian's dad shows up. In
Yeah.
the
Yeah,
story.
exactly.
It's crazy.
and so a lot of my material for the first 3-4 years was about, I was a tour guide before that on the tram. It's just a lot of theme park.
And I know
shit.
this to be true.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff, a lot of material to pull from that world. So I was doing a show with a comic named Brett Riley, Paso Robles, in a bar upstairs. There's no comedy club in Paso Robles, so they filled it up. Brett had lived there for 5 years, so we went back to do a show. There's about 300 people in the top of this bar.
I think I've actually been to that bar.
Oh, really?
I know there is a bar because I do a lot of photography and I had a show there, some art gallery, and they're like on the main drag?
Wherever the downtown
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
And so,
He gives no fucks.
Great. Yeah. How'd the art show go, bud?
Yeah. It was really good. It was
good.
really good.
Good,
Thank
good, I'm
you for
glad.
asking.
I'm
There's
glad, yeah.
concern in your voice.
Of course, yeah. Do you still do art?
I do sometimes. It's painful. I don't want to
For
talk
real, do you?
about it. No, I still do a lot of photography. Yeah.
That's awesome. Where can we see it?
You
I'm
can
being
see it
genuine.
on my website.
I'm being serious.
You can see it on my website.
Plug it.
No, FeliciaMichaels.net. So go
Fuck
ahead
yeah.
with your.
That's awesome. I always want to do photography, so people that do it, I'm like,
Really?
like,
Are you
oh,
serious?
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's just like, it's one of those things where I've seen too many good people do it that I'm just like, there's, you know what, like, why
yeah, but
do
it's
I
all
need
about
to?
where you're at. Like
I feel like I got a pretty good eye for like certain.
when
you
you
know,
got Brad out of that closet, perfect time to take your phone out and take a picture.
fucking yeah. I mean, yeah, opportunity missed, but. So,
All right, so you're in Paso Robles. You're
Yeah,
at
yeah.
a bar. Brett
Eh,
Riley's at the gig.
Yep, I'm just doing like 25 before him, and he's gonna do his hometown show, and everyone's pretty fucked up, wine country, drinking, whatever. But the bar, they made it real conducive for comedy. TVs were off, everyone's paying attention more or less. And there's a gal off in the corner, real fucked up. Had a couple bottles with her and another gal, and then what the gal she was with left at one point, and she's being real obnoxious, just screaming at me, be like, "Give me a kiss!" At one point, and I was like, "Should I give her a kiss?" Just pandering. Everyone's like, "Yeah." So I go over. She kind of like slobbers on the side of my cheek, and I made some real hack blue comment, like, "I think I just got gingivitis and AIDS," And
I thought you were gonna say, and she said, "Be careful, they're gonna roofie you."
oh my God! If I combine both stories,
That would be so awesome.
and it was the girl from Kansas City, and the husband was there. He was like, "Now you can fuck her." No, and so I come back to the middle of the stage, and I'm kind of looking down, and so I made that comment to her, and which she didn't like apparently, because I'm looking down. And I'm kind of, I'd done my material about being Wolverine. I'm kind of like, looking at kind of thinking of my next move. Like, I got a few more minutes, so I'm going to close up. That was kind of a ruckus, situation. And I see in my peripheral vision, her hand kind of go up like this. And it happened so quickly that I didn't have enough time to really register what was happening. But I know that in the corner of my eye, I saw this, and then I saw that motion. Again, from probably about like here to maybe 5 feet past the back of the wall of the studio. So, I don't know, 15, 20 feet. 25. That happens. All I can do is understand, oh, she just chucked something at me. So I kind of, like that, kind of put my hand up. Again, just not enough time to, because it happened so quick, to turn or jump out of the way. It's just kind of a fight or flight, instinctual, and I put my hand up, and the base of the wine glass hits the webbing of my hand, which was kind of, balmy, whatnot, in a way to where it kind of stuck for a half a second to this part of my hand, so that all I had to do was reach my hand around the base of the wine glass. So I snapped the wine glass out of midair.
Sick.
Once I realized that it was...
I mean, I think you're cool.
Come
but-
on, dude.
Let
That's
me
so
finish.
cool.
Let me finish.
I want to believe it so
Let
bad.
me finish. Reach my hand around the base of the wine glass. Slowly turned once I realized that that's what happened. Saw it. Held it up and went, ah! Whole place goes fucking nuts. I walk over. I put it on her table. I go, "I told you, bitch, I'm Wolverine. Don't fuck with me." Place goes nuts. She walks out. Whole town, I'm getting smoked and drank out. I went to some guy's car, fucking smoked 2 blunts. Then me and Will C. You know the comedian Will C?
Yeah, I
From
do.
the Midwest,
I know
military
Will
guy.
C,
Yeah.
yeah.
We were staying together at this Courtyard Marriott, and because he was on the show too, and I'm as fucked up as I've ever been, and I'm leaning up in the shower, against the shower with all my clothes on because I was so drunk and I just, couldn't. I was just like, I just need to get wet. So I'm leaning up against the shower like I lost a big game. Fall asleep in the shower and to myself, I wake up falling out of the shower and like bump, like could have ricocheted and cracked my head open. Will's like a very thick Midwest accent. He's like, brother, are you okay? It sounded like you just fell out of the fucking shower. And I'm so ashamed that I'm like, no, I'm just shaving. Leave it. Mind your own business, Will.
I'm shaving my legs.
He's like, brother, sounds like you fell out of the shower. I'm like, no. So I get back in, lean up against the wall again, just like trying to just like, wash the booze out of me, fall asleep again, hit legs get cut out from under me from the bathtub in the shower, hit the ground again. Now there's water, by the way, spilling underneath the thing. So Will's like, brother, I know that sounded like you fell out of the shower. You definitely fell out of the shower. He's like, there's water seeping out from under the door. I'm like, mind your business, man. I didn't fall. And then I get up, and he's like, sounds like you're getting off the ground, brother. And then I open the door. I'm starving, soaking wet. I said, sober up a little bit. Had gotten a Marie Callender's chicken pot pie from the hotel snack lounge. And I grab it. Microwave doesn't work, so I throw it against the wall. Cracks the window in the wall. Pot pies, by the way, very fucking. Let's start. Let's put down the guns and pick up pot pies if we truly want to.
I think this is a lie because he's picking up on every little thing. Pot pies, you know what I mean? Whoa, crazy.
Okay.
You ever held a frozen pot
tell a
pie?
story?
You can do some damage with a frozen pot pie.
Is it?
You can tell her fuck off if you want.
Is it par for the course for you guys
Fuck
to
off.
interrupt and with shitty
Microwave,
commentary on my
yeah.
true story?
That's what
Sort
we
of,
do.
yeah.
So Popeye hits the window, and Willis goes, holy shit, brother, you just broke that window with a Popeye. And then we go to bed, check out. Brett Riley, which is a great sentence. Brett Riley texts me the next day on our way to breakfast. He's like, yo, man, he's like, a lot of fun. I heard you had quite the night. Can you give me cash? I had to pay $190 to the hotel because you cracked the window with, he goes, apparently a pot pie. And I was like, yeah, man, fucking microwave didn't work. Maybe they can meet me halfway on this bill, for not having a proper way to heat up my my snacks. And then we drove back, and that was that. But the main part of that story is catching the wine glass.
So
over there.
that
So
means then
cool.
we'll see told on you to Brett Riley about
yeah.
the pot pie.
Oh, yeah.
That's fucked up.
Oh, yeah.
That's fucked up.
Yeah, why would you?
Yeah.
Yeah, why
Yeah,
would you
that's
tell
fucked
on him?
up.
Fucked up, or just like the way that something happens, and afterwards you're like, dude, fucking, I don't think he was trying to like get me kicked out of Paso Robles forever. Like put up a mugshot of me in every bar. Don't sell this guy chicken pot pie. He'll throw it at your family.
Dangerous with pot pies. When I'm home, I don't want to run errands or have to figure out a meal plan, especially because I have kids. That's why Blue Apron is a great solution. Their chef-designed recipes are easy to follow and give you a balanced, delicious meal. Blue Apron is a quick and easy way to make high-quality meals that everyone can enjoy. Use promo code LIARS to get $30 off your first order. Blue Apron, take back dinner.
Brian, your dad's 58 when you're born, 26 years older than your mom, right?
Yeah, correct.
Craig? Or
Correct.
Correct.
I was like, I thought it was Howie.
It was Howard. That's the first line.
You're doing the recap, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that cool?
Yeah, no, I just didn't know if you were asking questions or if you were recapping.
I confirmed
No,
something
he
up
was doing,
top.
yeah, he was doing both.
Okay. I was
Anyway, you
confused.
come
Okay.
home from school one day, your mom's upset, and then it's just because your dad is gonna die soon, he wants to start talking arrangements before that happens, right?
Yeah.
So you guys go down to the funeral home one day after baseball practice.
Yeah.
He basically starts picking out the casket and all that shit. And then
What
and
color
then,
did he pick, by the way?
Brown.
Okay.
and basically his dad says, Howie says, the only bummer about this big extravagant funeral I want to have is that I'm not going to be around to see it. So you get about 25 people to come and do a mock funeral.
Yep.
And that's pretty much it. I think he gives.
Yeah.
Brian, you gave a speech.
Yeah.
And then afterward, he said, "I'm going to live another 80 years," which he did not.
Right. Exactly.
Did people laugh when he said that?
Yes.
Okay.
Second story. You're in the 7th grade and you're headed to fight that piece of shit Sean McNeil.
Well,
by
he's
the
a good guy.
church.
He's not a piece of shit anymore. But
Yeah, well, at the time, he was worth fighting.
Okay.
Yeah, did something shitty. You guys are fighting somebody else. Cops, everybody runs off, so you guys decide we're going to continue this shit tomorrow,
Yes.
right? And next day, the fight's happening again, but there's a new guy in attendance. It's your dad. Fight happens. Cops come again, but you and your dad stay, and the cops your dad says to the cops, you missed one hell of a fight.
Yeah.
Yeah, how did your dad, you told your dad there was going to be a fight.
Well, I didn't tell my dad, but everybody knew there was going to be a fight. So my neighbors, everybody knew. My mom knew I fought that day. Everybody knew I was going to fight
Fight
the
talk
next
travels
day.
fast. Yeah.
Yeah, fight talk travels fast.
In a town of
The
2,000.
first rule about,
Yeah.
by the way, after school fights, tell everybody.
Tell everybody is.
You want the town there to verify.
Yeah, very true, very true.
'Cause you're mayor. If you win that fight and everyone's there, that's how you become mayor.
You
You run
definitely.
the city.
I think if you are, how old were your parents when they met? Your dad was what, 50, and your mom was
No,
15?
so
25 or something like that.
well, I think they were only married for a couple years before I was born. So that would have made my dad like 56 and my mom 30 or something.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
I think a guy in a small town that marries a much younger woman like that, I think, and God bless your father, but
Right.
maybe a little vain, a little
Yeah,
bit.
my dad's
Well-
totally
Yeah.
vain, and his third wife was 20 years younger than him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think that would be a personality trait of some wanting to see my own funeral, and it's probably a funny way to ease everybody's pain a little bit too in its own fucked up narcissistic
think that
way.
one's
God bless his
true?
soul. So I think maybe that first story is true, but I don't see your dad just showing up at the fight and be like, "Oh, there's just this happening. That's all."
Well, the
Move on."
problem is I can see that happening based on the first story. Like, I'm qualifying
Yeah.
the second story with
Yeah.
the first being true. Like, the kind of
Yeah.
guy that would throw his own funeral also seems like the kind of guy that might be like, let's stick around for the police and tell them they missed something cool.
Right, yeah. It's
You know?
true, yeah. Like, I could definitely see the way you're talking about your father, that he could probably do both things. But I'm going to say the first one is a lie, and I think it's strategic on your part, because I think you probably wanted to get the lie out of the way, and were so happy that it was out of the way. You just did a short and simple story that
I
worked.
think that the first story is the lie, because I don't think, as much as your family may love your father, I don't think they would have carried him. They'd be like, "Fuck you, Howie."
Yeah, that's kind of a
Howie.
bizarre
the
request.
carry thing is weird with the casket open. That part I thought, oh, now I'm gonna change my mind. What do you think, Adam? What do you think?
Well, Howie's a weird name. I don't know any Howies, so I feel like
Well, it's
that
Howard,
right there.
but somehow it
bullshit.
became Howie. Telephone game.
Still, don't like him. Don't like him because he's not real. Yeah.
yeah.
No, I think the first story had heart, and I think it was. I've known Brian for a minute. I feel like it was. I didn't see his eyes wavering too much as he was trying to,
Yeah.
clarify the details.
It was kind of like a Medina,
Yeah,
goes
but that
to-
weird like little
Medea
laughy.
or Medina?
whatever it's called.
It's kind of like a Mendocino farm. Who'd you say? What's the character? Medina.
Medea.
How bummed are people when they buy 2 tickets to Medina, please? Like, Medea? No, damn it.
All right, we're taking a vote. Brett, what's your vote?
Well, I think the first story is a lie, because when Brian told the second story, I believe that story, because when he told it, I wanted to punch him.
Yeah.
Yeah, you seem
Yeah.
fightable in that second
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
No, that was a good story. I think the first story is a lie. I don't think that they would go to that much trouble. Even if you did a funeral, you wouldn't carry the guy around in
Right.
the casket. It's not a fucking wedding rehearsal dinner.
Exactly.
You don't have to,
Like
you
my
don't have to
Uncle
practice
Melvin
the steps.
was a big guy, and if he tried that, all the family would be like, "Fuck you, Melvin. We ain't carrying your ass."
Yeah, and here's the other thing too: is your mom saying that she was mad not to do the big funeral, right? Why wouldn't she just
Well,
be
no.
like, "Yeah, honey, we'll
Mom-
do the big funeral," before he decided to have his own party?
My
as
mom,
her-
my mom didn't want to do the funeral.
Yeah, I
She was
know.
against all of it.
Yeah, but that's why now leaning back to, I just think, okay, I'm gonna say the first story is a lie, and that's what I'm fucking
Oh,
sticking
way
to.
to jump on
yeah,
our boat.
yeah, I know. What about
I think
you?
first story's a lie, too.
And
I
everyone
do.
else is pretty much saying first story lie.
Yeah, another thing people are saying is that they can totally see it. Like, that's not a bad idea having, like, I don't get it at all. I think
Right.
it's a weird way for closure that, I don't know. I don't know if that's real shit.
All right. So which story is the lie?
The first one was a lie.
But a great premise for a
Great.
movie.
Yeah.
I watched that
actually-
movie built around a guy who's going to do a funeral before he dies.
Right.
Yeah.
But he's inviting all these people that don't really like him, so it's kind of a dark comedy. I think he's like, this would be cool to see and like celebrate and get everybody together with one last party. But everyone's just like, I mean, I don't want to say I'm pumped that you're dying in a couple weeks, but like,
So is-
you're a, I don't know, man. This is the last time. This is the first time you hit me up in 10 years, and it's to come be at your fake funeral.
To come
I
in.
don't real like you, you know.
So was your dad a lot older than your mother?
Yeah, oh, that's
Okay.
true. And
Yeah.
I actually, the first story is a pilot thing I wrote. So
Oh,
I,
really?
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
We'll be on the lookout for that.
Love it.
Okay.
Yeah, love it.
All right. Let's move on.
Adam's first story, he's opening for Brad at the Kansas City Improv maybe 5 years into doing comedy. It's like his first road work. And at the bar after, there's 7 or 8 couples, flirty wives, they want to hook up. The husbands are right there, and they're like, it's cool. Or it's cool because the midget. It would be funny if the midget. They don't know how they feel about you hooking up. You guys go back to their place. You're playing beer pong. You're getting fucked up. Eventually, you get roofied, and Brad's so drunk that they put him away in the closet like a ventriloquist puppet, sort of. And you lose some time. And then I guess it gets foggy because it got foggy for you. You come to sort of an hour or two later. You try to get Brad out of the closet. They're trying to stop you. Eventually, you escape with your midget clean. And the host should have warned you about all of this before you went in.
Right?
Does anyone have a comment on that fucking lie?
You think that one's a lie?
I think it's a total
The only
lie.
thing that bothers me with it is that he said an hour, maybe an hour passed, and then when he was talking later, he said the next morning.
Yeah, I think maybe there's parts of that story that are true, but I think you took it to the extreme. And everyone knows not to tell the drunk, chatty chick that they have roofies. Everyone knows, don't tell that chick shit.
But I think.
But just
true.
because everybody knows to not do that, that's why it can never happen.
I'm saying
That's why you.
I think the girl, saying to you in a drunk stupor, like, you've been roofied, that to me didn't ring true. I don't know. I just think that
Oh man, you gotta get out more.
Yeah.
There's a lot of fucked up people out there.
No, there's a lot of fucked up people
People
out
do
there
wild
for
shit.
sure. Yeah, but I don't want it to be true because I don't want someone to put little Brad in the fucking closet.
Nobody
No one puts
Brad
baby in the corner.
Oh, boy, you just
So-
pulled the rug out from that defense.
No.
You're like,
Story.
I feel bad that. Yeah, keep going.
No, there's no defense to it. I just feel like that story is not true. I think
Right.
a lot of it is true in it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Second story,
That's
you're with what you said, Brett Riley and Paso Robles,
Yep.
right? In wine country, there's a gal fucked up in the corner asking for kisses and shit, and you're hanging in there for it, but you're making shitty comments like, "No, I have hepatitis and AIDS," and she doesn't like it. So eventually, you're on stage from 10 to 15 feet away. You see a wine glass coming out of your periph. You throw your hand up and catch it. Very cool. Later, you're a hero for the town. You're hanging out. You drink. You get fucked up. They smoke you out, all that shit, and so you're fucked up in the shower later. You fall in the shower. The other guy that was on the show with you is like, "What's going on in there?" You're like, "I'm good." You fall in the shower again. There's water everywhere. Long story short, you throw a pot pie through a window, and you find out the next day you got to pay for the pot pie. Almost $2 for that motherfucker.
Yeah, and We'll
for the
see
window,
the other
sorry.
comic that was in the room with him. Does he say brother a lot?
Yeah.
That does sound. His impression of him is pretty
Yeah.
spot on.
Yeah.
I did an impression of you when you were gone, when you weren't here yet. I wish you could have been here for
Oh,
that.
let me hear it.
I can't do it now.
Why?
She's not brave. That's why.
I've only seen 2 impressions of me ever. Ben Glebe did one. It was awful. And then we just had Dana Carvey on our 500th episode, and he did me, and it was just, and Brad, but it was just, he repeated what Brad said, but for me, he just goes, I go, wait, do me, and he goes, do me.
Yeah. If I try to do you, it just sounds like you're Fred Savage. Or Ted, or when you do that shit on your podcast, it'd be like Fred Savage. Or Ted who I don't know.
Oh,
Tony
Tony
Danza.
Danza.
Tony Danza,
Yeah.
sorry. Why would I think Fred Savage
I don't
and
know,
Tony
but
Danza?
I would love to be in the same conversation as Fred
Yeah.
Savage, so thank you.
Cool. We'll
I
figure
think-
out how to sneak you in there one of these
I
days.
think that first story's true because I think I've heard some bits of it. In the second story, he just wants to make himself out to be way cooler than he already is, and that's
Yeah,
a,
but
That's hard
to
to
come
do.
up with the idea that you're going to catch the glass with the bottom of the
Yeah.
wine stem, that's pretty fucking random. I mean, I think that could
I'm
have
sure
happened.
he's had things thrown at him though, so he
Yeah,
probably.
yeah.
Have the face that you want to throw shit at. Not pot pies, though, because I'll retaliate.
But who comes up with a pot pie, like a pot pie that cracks a window?
My roommate recently has been
Let the
cooking a lot of pot
craving
pies, so
Yeah.
that would have come to me.
I keep a lot of
Yeah.
pot pies on deck.
Yeah.
I love that about you. And guess what? This friendship just went up a notch.
Okay. What do you think? What do you think his stories? Which one do you think
Man,
is a lie?
I think that both of them could have happened in our worlds that we live in. I'm gonna go with the second one just because of
Second one, true or lie?
it's true.
so.
With
The first one would be a lie.
yeah, for partly what you said, I don't want to envision people actually locking Brad up.
Not
Yeah.
even that
Minute.
piece of shit Sean McNeil would do that, huh?
I like Sean McNeil now, but
Yeah, I'm not
he
sure
would,
about
he
him.
would.
I don't know.
He would. But no, I think that I'm going to go with the second one true because I don't know. I think that that is a good point you're making about the catch, but I feel like sometimes crazy shit happens like that, you know.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with the second one is true and the first one is
The
false.
lie.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Brett?
I think the first story is true. Kansas City people are
You said
sketchy
that,
and
yeah.
weird.
Yeah.
And I don't buy this whole catching the wine glass by the stem.
I don't
right
either.
after I told the
Not at all.
Wolverine story. That sounds like pretty good comedy writing to me.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. As far as just like what feels like a real story, it's the first one 1,000% over the second one. But I really want to buy into that second one. It's a lot more fun, and it seems like an
It's
easy
the
setup to
hero.
get us into.
Yeah.
You know,
What is anybody saying? Anything online that we need to hear about, or any?
a lot of people are not believing the second one, but they're believing that. They're saying Wolverine bullshit. First one true.
Okay, all right. So which story is the lie?
So I forgot what the premise of this show was.
Oh,
Don't
No,
you
no,
do it.
no,
Don't
no.
you
So,
do
Oh,
it.
so on the way over, I looked at my text from you, and you were like, one true story and one lie. So I'm like, oh fuck, I should have thought about a lie story better. So I was like, well, you know what? I'm a pretty good improviser. I will just make up a story. What sounds like something that they would buy that I could get away with and try to act and improvise my way through it. That first story was entirely made up on the spot.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes.
So you are
Oh
a
my
dum-dum.
God, I got two
and
right. I got
well,
two
yeah.
right. That hasn't
I guess
happened
I'm-
for so long.
guess
I'm
I-
sorry,
I
Adam.
said that
me,
first one
me,
was way more
me.
believable.
I guess I was good at acting.
You
I don't know what you chalk that up to.
You
Yeah.
caught the wine
I
glass.
could see.
Oh yeah, and I'll call
That's what I
Brett.
said. I was like, this is just his opportunity to tell that
yes,
fucking sweet
yes.
And
story.
I
That's a
texted-
great story.
And yeah, it's 1,000%. We can call Brett Riley if you want to verify.
Hey,
or
soon you guys can. You can call and leave us messages at 925 or 323-925 liar.
Oh, and it's like the way a good
You got the
skipping
phone?
rock.
Do you have
It's
the
like
new
a
phone?
skipping
Yeah.
rock.
Oh, wow.
1,000. Yeah, and I love that you think that wine glass just sounds, and it is too good to be true. But you hit up Brett Riley whenever, because he brags about it, and to where people have hit me up being like, dude, and it was crazy.
Yeah.
It was truly the craziest. I've only probably told the story on like 3 podcasts ever, because I'm like, oh, it's just. Even the first time I told it, the same reaction. People were like, really?
Have you ever been-
And then I was like, I guess the only way to verify it is for you to either believe me or for me to get you to have Brett or find the other people that were there. But it was the craziest shit ever. I mean, it literally, there's no explanation for it. Literally,
Is
like
there-
the way
let
that
me
it
ask you
flung
this.
and just like, I was almost kind of like trying to hit it away. But again, it just like, for a second, like almost hit the glass and then died on my hand. So all I had to do, it was very crazy, but happened.
Let me ask you:
I
have
love it.
you
And
ever
fell asleep
had
in the shower twice. Also real. Pot pie. Also real.
Have you ever had a story where Brad
Better
was
remembering the
locked
details.
in a closet?
No.
Thank God.
You know what made me
I kid you not.
No, but when you were telling that
1,000% of
when
that
you were-
story was made up right here.
when you were telling that story and you were like, yeah, and that's why we started the podcast about last night. And then I was
That
like,
made sense.
he would have told that story for sure a million
No,
times on
just
that
fucking
podcast.
I
great
thought I've heard
improvising.
this.
Yeah,
I
good
thought
job.
I
heard
I
this.
got
Also,
it.
never been to Kansas City with Brad.
Oh,
Went to Omaha with him one time.
wow, wow.
Only been on the road with him twice.
Wow.
But believable. But so on the way over, I was like, all right, they'll believe a story with Brad and I. And then I was like, I for sure thought you guys, and that's why I even was like, there's a part where you're probably not going to believe it. I got roofie, and they fucking tried to, but
It
they-
was weird that you said an hour and then you said the
Yeah,
next
and
morning.
the girls saying you've been roofied. No one tells the girls who has roofies. That's kind of the general rule of
Yeah,
thumb.
what
but also
helped-
we've
Unless
all
you're
been in
the bunch of girls,
situations
yeah.
where somebody would
Yeah.
just laugh and
Yeah.
go. But you bought into the idea, which I think is
Of the bucket too, because that means you had to drag him out of the closet to the garage, and then they threw
well, I
water
don't
on
know
him
for
in the-
sure. But yeah, but I mean, just the idea that people fucked up in the Midwest would be like, try to meet a comic halfway and do something fucked up because they thought like,
Oh,
oh, you can
I'm-
take it,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That to me sounded believable.
That is
It
that I would
believable.
hear that,
It
and I'd be
is.
like,
And
oh.
that it was pre-podcast days, and that was one of the stories that could have inspired starting
Yeah.
this podcast.
Absolutely.
That's where he
Yeah.
had me.
Yeah.
Well, great job, you guys. Where can people follow you, and what do you got shaking on going on? Brian?
Yeah, mine's Brian Swinehart, BrianSwinehart. Just look that up. I'll be at Brea Improv the 20th. The 17th.
Oh fuck, you better figure that out.
Yeah, December 17th, Brea Improv, and then Wiley's in Dayton, December 27th and 28th.
Oh, nice. That's
Yeah.
great
Yeah,
club.
dude.
Great
Yeah.
club. And what about you, Adam?
When does this come out?
Well, we're live.
right now.
Oh shit.
Let me tell you, when you were like, "Well, I have something to tell you," we both thought you were going to say both stories are true. She was about to lose her shit, and I was like, "What do we do when Jessica
We'll watch
loses
it
her
back. I
shit?
was
What do we
nervous.
do? What do we?" I know we were all like, "Oh no!"
But you need both the stories to sound true.
Yes.
Yeah.
You're trying
Yeah.
to sell out. You're
Yeah.
trying to trick
Yeah,
us.
for
You
sure.
know how many
Which
comics
wasn't
have
specified in
come
the
in
text, but I
and
figured
they-
it out.
You
They-
killed it.
They've been
Okay.
like, "Oh, both are true." got you guys. And
Oh, what a waste.
Yeah,
That sucks. No,
That's why
Real
you gotta
Sean
he's
turn
about to go
McNeil.
ape shit.
It's an acting exercise too.
Yeah,
maybe
yeah.
I can be your sidekick on the tattoo show.
We'll
There
talk
you go.
about it.
But
You just big time me on your own podcast.
where can people follow
I'll be
you? What
at
do you got shaking?
Adam Ray Comedy on Instagram and Twitter. I have an album out called Read the Room, which you can watch the full thing on YouTube as well. I'll be at Copper Blues Live in Phoenix this weekend.
Oh, awesome.
And then Oxnard Liberty Live next weekend and DC Improv for New Year's. And I have a comedy music album I spent 8 months on that's sketches and 13 original songs that comes out December 13th. And you
Oh,
get
wow,
that.
cool. Very
Yeah.
cool.
Lead singer of the Goo Goo Dolls sang on one of the tracks. Frank Caliendo, Dana did some voices on
Oh,
the sketches.
nice.
So that's
And
at AdamRayComedy.com.
You're doing a little part on Eliza's.
Yeah, I just shot it. Yeah,
Yeah, that's cool.
That was cool. She's a man. What a mogul.
She
You know?
really.
Yeah.
I don't know how she just these specials, and this one was just as good as any of.
Oh,
the
her
others.
and Bert are just churning out content at like a crazy rate. It's
Yeah.
it's bonkers, but impressive, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, wonderful, and thank you for joining us. What about you, Michael? You already said, or
I'm at High Five Michael on Instagram. I'm all over town all the time. I post the dates there. Check me out.
how about you, Brett? Anything you want to shout out?
I'm always here in the basement of the Comedy Store.
That's kinda
Down
true.
here in
But what about your new podcast, which is doing quite well?
I have a podcast called Issues with Andy Andrus, Greg Shaley, and Chad Shank from the Doug Stanhope podcast, and you can find it on YouTube.
You know what? I was on Twitter today, and they're doing Legions of Skanks South, and they were asking what podcast should we do, and someone put your podcast on there,
See?
Brett. Yeah,
We're very skanky.
Yeah, there you go. And my name is Felicia Michaels. You can follow me all across the board at Felicia Michaels, and we will both be in San Diego at the Madhouse Comedy Club the 13th and 14th.
That's right. And I'm at Jess Wellington 2 on everything, and you have been lied to.
Wait, tell him it's not a lie.
No, it is not a lie. I've never seen anything like it in my life. Of all the years I've been doing stand-up comedy, it was insane.
Oh, fuck
Okay.
yeah.
And it was under the influence. I've never seen anything like it. There's no
How
way
much worse was his bravado after that?
Oh yeah, it was like, yeah, he seriously. Okay, so he catches a wine. He's faced the opposite direction from this woman, and this woman hurls a wine glass at his head from about 7 to 8 feet away, and he spins around literally like a superhero, catches it between his fingers, and goes, "I thought I told you, bitch."
Thank you.
Even cooler than he described.
See, I said 15 feet away. He said 7 or 8 feet, which is even crazier.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
No, I mean, yeah, it was nuts, and the crowd, yeah, and then didn't you also throw a chicken pot pie up against the window?
I did. With Will C. in the hotel. Because Will texted
love
me.
it.
Yeah.
I'm not telling that one.
Disney believe you. Will the real liar please stand up? Right?
She's totally serious.
And you have been lied to.